The snow fell in slow, graceful waves that Christmas Eve, blanketing the quiet hills of Vermont in white silence. Inside the massive glass mansion on the hill, the fire flickered faintly against the marble walls, and a man sat alone at a long dining table set for 12. The candles burned untouched. The silverware gleamed, but across the entire grand hall there was no laughter, no sound of music, no sign of life. Only the heavy stillness of a house that hadn't seen joy in years. His name was William Carter, a man whose face once graced every business magazine, hailed as one of America's richest self-made billionaires. But tonight, money couldn't buy what he had lost long ago: warmth, connection, love. He had everything the world could offer: private jets, luxury cars, a company empire. Yet he sat staring at an empty chair, remembering the laughter that once filled his home. His wife, Margaret, and their only son, Daniel, had died in a tragic car accident 12 years ago on Christmas Day, while driving home to surprise him. William had been on a business trip then, too obsessed with closing a year-end deal to be with his family. That guilt had never left him. Every year since, Christmas became a wound that never healed. He stopped decorating his house, stopped visiting friends, stopped answering calls. The world moved on. But he didn't. He told himself he deserved the loneliness. Before we go further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of love to heal even the deepest wounds, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to the channel. It helps us spread more stories that touch the heart and remind us of what truly matters. Outside, the storm grew stronger, and the wind howled against the tall windows. William poured himself a glass of whiskey, staring into the fire. His butler, Thomas, had begged to stay, but William sent everyone home early, insisting he wanted peace and quiet. In truth, he didn't want anyone to see him crumble. As the clock struck 9, he rose and walked to the window, looking down at the winding road that led to his mansion gates. He could see the snow piling up fast. Not a single car, not a single light in sight. Just darkness and cold. Then, faintly, a sound, knocking. He froze. The knock came again, louder this time. William frowned, thinking it must be the wind. But then came a small, trembling voice. "Hello? Please, is anyone there?" He turned slowly, his heart startled by how real it sounded. He hesitated, then walked to the massive oak doors and pulled them open. There, shivering in the snow, stood a young woman in a thin coat holding a little girl wrapped in a blanket. Their cheeks were red from the cold, their clothes damp, and behind them sat an old car half buried in snow. "I'm so sorry, sir," the woman stammered, her voice shaking. "Our car broke down a few miles back. We've been walking for hours trying to find help. Could we please just wait inside until the storm slows down?" William stared at them, the fear in their eyes, the child clutching her mother's arm. Something in him hesitated. For years, he'd locked himself away from the world. He didn't want strangers, didn't want company, didn't want memories. But tonight, as the wind whipped around their frail figures, he heard his late wife's voice echo in his head. "Will, promise me you'll never close your heart, no matter how much it hurts." So he nodded quietly. "Come in." The warmth of the fire embraced them as they stepped inside. The woman introduced herself as Emily Brooks, a waitress from a small diner in town, and her daughter, Lily, was 7 years old. They had been driving to Emily's sister's house for Christmas when the storm caught them off guard. William offered them towels, blankets, and even asked his kitchen to reheat some soup. Emily thanked him again and again, her eyes filled with relief. Lily, though shy at first, couldn't stop staring at the Christmas decorations that still lingered in the mansion. A dusty wreath, an old photo frame, and a grand piano sitting silently in the corner. As the night wore on, Emily tried to keep Lily awake, but exhaustion won. William brought out a small blanket for her and laid her on the couch near the fire. He watched the little girl's chest rise and fall as she slept peacefully. Something deep inside him cracked open, a softness he hadn't felt in years. Emily sat by the fire sipping tea, and after a long silence, she said quietly, "You have a beautiful home." "Must be lovely to spend Christmas here." William smiled faintly, though his eyes glistened. "It used to be." He paused, then added, "Not anymore." Something in his tone made Emily stop asking questions. But she could sense the pain behind his silence. As they talked, she learned bits and pieces. How he used to love Christmas, how his wife would cook and sing, how the halls once echoed with joy. Emily shared her own story, raising Lily alone after her husband abandoned them when Lily was just a baby. Working double shifts just to make ends meet. Her voice trembled, not from self-pity, but from exhaustion. William listened, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel like a billionaire or a recluse. He felt human again. When morning came, the storm had calmed. Emily thanked him again and said they should be going once the roads cleared. But before leaving, Lily wandered to the piano and touched the keys. "Mister," she said softly, "why don't you play it?" William hesitated. "I haven't played in a long time, sweetheart." "Please?" she asked, eyes wide with the innocence only a child could have. Something in her voice, the way she said please, made him sit down. His fingers trembled as they touched the keys. The first note cracked, hesitant, then another followed, and slowly, softly, the melody of Silent Night filled the air. Emily watched with tears in her eyes as Lily swayed gently beside him. It was the first time in 12 years that music had echoed through that house. For a brief, fleeting moment, it felt like Christmas again. Emily's car was towed the next afternoon, and before leaving, Lily hugged William tightly. "Merry Christmas, mister," she whispered. "Thank you for saving us." When the door closed behind them, William stood still for a long time, the silence heavier than ever. But something had changed. That night, he looked at the piano, at the blanket Lily used, at the empty teacups, and for the first time, he didn't feel lonely. He felt alive. Over the next few weeks, William couldn't get them out of his mind. He found himself driving into town, something he hadn't done in years, and one day, he stopped at the diner where Emily worked. She was wiping down tables when she saw him, startled but smiling. "Mr. Carter, I didn't expect—" he interrupted gently, handing her a small envelope. Inside was a check. "For the repairs," he said. "And a little something for Lily." She refused at first, but he insisted. "It's not charity," he said. "It's gratitude." From then on, he visited every week. Sometimes for coffee, sometimes just to talk. Lily would run to him, calling him Mr. Will, showing him her drawings, laughing in a way that reminded him painfully of his son. The staff started noticing, too. The old man who used to never smile now laughed openly, tipping generously, talking kindly. Months passed and Christmas came again. But this year, something extraordinary happened. Emily and Lily showed up at his mansion, not stranded but invited. They came with cookies, decorations, and a small, cheap Christmas tree. William tried to hide his tears as he helped them decorate his home for the first time in 12 years. That night, as they sat by the fire, Lily sang Silent Night in her soft, sweet voice. Emily smiled at William, her eyes filled with gratitude. "You know," she said quietly, "last year we were praying for a miracle, and I guess we found one." William looked at them. This woman and her little girl who had unknowingly brought light back into his life, and said softly, "No, Emily, I found mine." He realized then that family didn't always mean blood. Sometimes it meant the people who walked into your life when you needed them most. The following year, William Carter made headlines again, not for his wealth, but for something far greater. He sold half his company and started a foundation that helped single mothers and children in need. The first project he funded was a community shelter named the Lily House, in honor of the little girl who knocked on his door one stormy night and reminded him what Christmas truly meant. He spent every Christmas after that surrounded by laughter, love, and warmth, with Emily and Lily beside him, not as guests, but as family. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who might need hope today, and subscribe to our channel for more stories that remind us of the power of love and kindness. And before we end, tell us in the comments, would you have opened the door that night? What would you have done if two strangers knocked in the middle of a storm? Because sometimes Opening the door is all it takes to change a life, including your own.